Track 1, Humanities and Social Sciences. Theme 2, Organizational Change, Mitigating Limitations for Capacity Building. Topic 5, Faculty Training and Development for Transformational Education. So I am Professor Mohammad Shahriar Rahman from United International University, your session chair for this session. In this session, without making further delay, I would like to invite Dr. Suparna Majumdar-Kar as a professor from Christ University, India, to deliver her speech. Her title is Capacity Building for Faculty for Transformational Education, a case study.
Thank you so much, sir. Is it all right if I share my screen?
Yes, please.
The case that I will be presenting today is based on my university, which is Christ University, located out of Bangalore, India. And what we've been working on is capacity building initiatives for faculty members as we make the transition to outcome-based education here. So as some of you may be aware, the context that we're working with in India is looking at rapid changes in terms of how we look at higher education. And part of these changes have to do with the fact that we were living in a VUCA world, and now the terms that are used are essentially the one world that we're looking at. So VUCA, we're predominantly looking at a huge degree of volatility and ambiguity. And when we look at the world in terms of Bani, we're actually looking at how there's an increasingly brittle, increase in anxiousness and in a non-linear connection between various parts of the world. And all this lends to this incomprehensibility. So when we look at the context of higher education, one of the problems that we're dealing with today is to equip our learners to deal with this, in a way, incomprehensible world and to succeed in a world like that. So that's been one of the challenges when we are preparing our curriculum, as well as when we look at the different models that can be used. As part of this exercise, there are two larger guiding principles that we've been working with within my university. The first comes from the emphasis that the UNESCO had placed on quality of life and focusing on education as a way to enhance the quality of life. And the emphasis on a learner's ability to transform themselves and the impact that that would have on their society. And this is something that's an integral part of our university ethos. What we're also working with is the Sustainable Development Goals. And predominantly what we're looking at is Goal 4, where we're trying to ensure inclusive and quality education for all. And the focus is on promoting lifelong learning here. This is also shaped by the emphasis that the new education policy, National Education Policy 2020, has placed with respect to higher education in India. And this has become the larger context within which we're working. Within the university context, we are a private deemed to be university, and our vision statement emphasizes holistic development, where we would want our university to operate as a nurturing ground, where we would want our learners to be able to make effective contributions to society. And we understand that this is a very dynamic environment, that a lot of what we take for granted today may not exist tomorrow. This is something that I'm sure we've experienced over the past 2 or 3 odd years. Given this kind of emphasis, our focus is essentially on transformational education. And as part of that, the track that we have taken is whole person development, or as we call it within our university, holistic education. And when we look at holistic education, what we're focusing on is not just academic excellence. We would like to extend it and ensure that our learners attain skills in terms of their ability to survive in society and thrive there, as well as in terms of how they connect with each other, as well as a lot of the personal and professional skills that would be necessary. This has shaped our graduate attributes, as well as the way in which we're making the transition to the outcome-based education framework. Yeah. So a little bit about the work that we do and how it's connected to capacity building initiatives. So I'm part of the Teaching Learning Enhancement Cell in my university, and this was established in 2016. And the cell becomes significant because it's one of the first such initiatives within the Indian context in higher education. And we realized that there's a lot of emphasis on training of faculty amongst for faculty who are going to work with younger cohorts. But when we look at higher education, we don't really have capacity building initiatives for faculty there in the same way. So what we essentially have are experts who have a tremendous amount of expertise in subjects and the disciplines that they tend to come from, but not necessarily in terms of andragogy or how they might be able to facilitate learning for their learners, or even in terms of how we can design our curriculum to essentially scaffold the entire process. And the cell works on that initiative. What we've also realized is that there's faculty in higher education don't necessarily have the kind of support that they need. So cells like ours would essentially step in. So some of the areas that we're focusing on is the transition to outcome-based education. Now, this is, the way we're looking at a lot of the accrediting bodies in India. This is a relatively new initiative. And what we're looking at is the adoption of outcome-based practices in the social sciences in a multidisciplinary university. Because when you look at the Indian context, it's very firmly entrenched in our engineering programs and in our management programs, but not necessarily in a lot of the interdisciplinary programs that we tend to offer. We're also looking at reviewing teaching, learning, and assessment practices. And this is primarily taken up in order for us to be able to identify areas that we essentially need to work on down the line. What we're also looking at is designing and offering capacity building initiatives for faculty members in higher education. And I will also share some of these initiatives with you in a few minutes. So how are we looking at transformational education then? Right? So the path to OBE has been a gradual process, and within the social sciences, we realize that a lot of what OBE espouses is it can be a difficult transition because there's a lot of resistance to the kind of attainment measures, for instance, that we would need to work for OBE. We've been working with the larger vision and mission of the university, and that is where transformational education becomes a core that we would want to work with. So some of the projects, for instance, that we've been working on are on whole person education and how do we look at whole person education in higher education. The focus on learning outcomes has also been a slow one, and that the whole emphasis in terms of shifting the focus from the teacher to the learner is a very gradual shift in higher education, especially when you're looking at multidisciplinary programs. And this is something that we've been working on extensively. We've taken up curriculum review initiatives, and we've tried to adopt an OBE framework. And part of this exercise that we've been taking up has looked at the adoption of a backward design model or understanding by design, and here what we're looking at is putting the outcomes at the center. And for us, the outcomes tend to be derived from the graduate attributes, and then we work with our program outcomes, we work with the course outcomes, and all of this is shaped by our graduate attributes at the university level. And once we have these outcomes in place, what we espouse is essentially the adoption of the identification of appropriate assessment strategies, and then identification of the teaching learning strategies that would actually support learning. And as part of this exercise, some of the initiatives that we've taken up have focused on the principle of constructive alignment. And this, as we're all aware, comes from, it has derived to some extent from the work done by Professor Biggs. And what we're looking at here is this continuous alignment between the learning outcomes, our assessment strategies, as well as the teaching learning strategies that are adopted. And part of the review processes that we've taken up ensures that there is a continuous feedback loop, so that we can make sure that the learning outcomes are being reflected in the assessment strategies that are adopted, as well as being supported through the teaching learning strategies that are there. And another area that we've worked on has been essentially andragogy and the teaching learning strategies that are required for us to be able to support learning and support learning effectively. Right? Reviews of assessment too, to ensure that they're on track and they are measuring what they intended to measure, as well as a focus on feedback and transparency for both the learners and for the faculty members, because we understand that feedback is essentially going to kind of complete the loop that we're looking at. So some of the interventions that we've designed have looked at how we work on outcomes, how we design effective outcomes, because most of us have a clear picture of what our learners should be able to do, but how do we articulate that? Once those outcomes have been articulated, how do we ensure that we are able to assess whether these outcomes have been attained, and whether these outcomes are essentially going to look at the transformation of the whole learner. Those are the larger ideas that we've been working on, and the projects that we've been taking have also been in line with this larger purpose. So one of the things that we are looking at is scaffolding for faculty in higher education, which is something that we realize is an area that needs to be emphasized. It's an area that needs to be focused on. And part of this scaffolding that we provide became extremely relevant, in the early part of 2020, when we started to experience the impact of the pandemic worldwide. And some of the capacity building initiatives that we took up were not just for our university, but for other institutions across the country, focused on how we could adapt to, the changes that were taking place in higher education. How do we move to different platforms? How do we look at the online form of learning from a predominantly classroom-based form of learning? And this transition was also accompanied by the transition to hybrid forms of learning. Concurrent hybrid mode was what we had adopted within our university, and what we offered a lot of support on. So how do we look at these changes that were taking place? For faculty members in higher education, these were shifts that we just were not used to. Most universities did have components of online learning, but when you look at countries such as India, which have very, very diverse groups of learners, the shift to a completely online platform was a challenge that we had to deal with. Most of our classrooms had begun to look like this, so how do we, so the transition to online learning and ensuring that every learner could be catered to and that nobody was essentially left behind was one of the initiatives that we had worked with. And while making this transition, how do we equip both the faculty members as well as the learners to not lose sight of the learning outcomes that we're looking at, the teaching learning strategies? How do we ensure that we have active learning to assess, given the kind of changes that were taking place across the world. So the pandemic-driven shifts then became extremely significant in terms of the work that we did. And post, although the pandemic is not over yet, and there's a lot of uncertainty that we're living with, but currently our focus is now on the formal adoption of OBE. And what we're looking at is whole person development and the transformation of education, especially higher education, that we're working with. Right? Professor Rahman. I hope I have not exceeded the time limit. So.
No, it's perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for your excellent
Thank you so much
presentation.
for this.
Currently, I don't
just stop sharing.
see any questions from the audience, but I would like to ask you one question. When you were speaking about this pandemic situation, how did you manage to assess in a fair manner, so as to ensure that the students are being assessed fairly while being online? How do you handle that?
That's a very important question. Right. So I thank you for this question, because this was
Let me start the bio of Dr. Zuliciality. Dr. Zuliciality is currently an assistant professor.
Actually struggled with for a very long. We also care of learners who may not have had very good access. So different needs were then kept in mind. So for instance, what we looked at was a mix of different assessment strategies. For some of our assessment plans, what we looked at was a shift towards, say, open book assessments, and this was done with the learning management systems to ensure that the learners had access to the resources that they actually needed, because some of our students are from very remote spaces. Some don't have.
We missed last
sorry, I think I lost connectivity in between.
Yes, so probably we can take one question.
Sure.
Yeah, we are just running out of time. So,
you mentioned your university is a multidisciplinary university, but which disciplinaries are dominant? Is it technical or social science? If the technical, if it is technical, then say, for example, Indian context is a highly diverse society and full of complexities and complexities. So how your graduates are becoming with the capacity, a social leader or a technical leader, to address these complexities and diversities, because you mentioned the OBA is the means of creating leaders to handle all these kind of complexities.
Right. So Professor Hawk, what we work with this emphasis on whole person education within our university, and we are incorporating that with OBE. So my university, for instance, when I said it's a multidisciplinary, we have engineering programs, we have architecture, we have management, we have economics, sociology, my discipline, social work, and a whole host of the pure sciences as well. So, so we're multiple disciplines, as well as a very strong management, focus management and commerce too. A lot of programs dealing with that. With respect to ensuring that we have holistically developed, the focus on holistic, what we have taken up is an initiative that is called holistic education, and this has been running in our university for more than 20 years, where we where all our learners go through these modules and a lot of engagements on predominantly 3 domains. So we look at it in terms of societal skills, personal skills, as well as interpersonal skills. And that ties into the way we look at whole person education. It's also an important component of the learning outcomes at the course level, as well as the program level for some of our programs, not for all, but for some of our programs. And that ties into how we look at OBE as well. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. Probably we can take the question from Mr. Noman.
Yeah, a very good evening and salam alaikum to everyone. And my question to Professor is that you have addressed one of the SDG goals. What's the role of SDG goals? Because we at Lords are implementing SDG goals across the faculty development programs. How important are they in the Indian context of the NEP?
All right. So SDG goal 4 is very important in terms of how we're shaping education, but it is not just goal 4. So when we're looking at the SDG and the focus on SDG, that is very important for a lot of, the university space. For instance, our university places a lot of emphasis on sustainable development and essentially on ensuring that we are working with the environment with as low an impact as possible. For instance, we're a zero waste zone, which is a huge initiative considering that we have more than 25,000 students. So the sustainable development goals have been incorporated within higher education in multiple ways, not just through goal 4 that I had spoken about initially. Yes, so it does largely shape a lot of the activities that we take up, as well as the way in which we design our curriculum. I hope that answers your questions,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, I got 25,000 is a big number. And
Yes.
Christ University, I guess it is based in Tamil Nadu, I believe.
Karnataka, sir. Neighboring state.
Oh, it's based.
Yes. Yes.
Which city you said?
We're in Bangalore, so we have
you're
a few
based in
campuses
Bangalore.
in Bangalore, but we also have off campuses or offshoots as well.
We look forward to
thank you.
Have good discussions.
Thank you so much. Same here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shupana Majumdar. We would like to now move on to the second presenter. In fact, the third presenter.
I think you missed the first one.
Yes.
First was mine, but actually ladies first. So I just, I could not say no to you.
So much gender.
According to the session schedule I have, it was Dr. Shiran Mukherjee who was supposed to be our first presenter, and Mr. Noman Abdul Majid, you were supposed to be our third presenter.
Okay.
I'm sure
now he is second.
Now you're second, yeah. So may I request Mr. Noman Abdul Majid to deliver his speech. His title is Faculty Training and Development for Transformational Education. To introduce Mr. Noman, he is an Associate Director at Lord's Institute of Engineering and Technology and Lord's School of Business. He has substantial background and experience in the industry as well. So without making any further delay, I would like to request Mr. Majid to deliver his speech, please.
Hello, everyone, and a very warm good evening to all my fellow speakers, dignitaries on the Zoom meeting, and everyone watching out there on the YouTube stream. It's a pleasure to be one of the speakers on such a prestigious platform, InfoRobi. And we at Lords are the official chapter in the state of Telangana. Lords Institute of Engineering and Technology is one of the premier institutes based in Hyderabad, that is south of India. And it has more than 12 streams in engineering undergraduate. And it has mechanical engineering, MTech, and it has MBA as well. So we are a business platform as well as engineering platform together in one campus spread over 12 acres. We are the official partners on InfoRobi, and we thank Dr. Wajid Hussain and his team for being our partners, and also Father Spaddy for allowing us to inculcate outcome-based education on our campus and inculcate it into the faculty as well as students. I will start sharing now the screens, and I will just give you a brief walkthrough how we have been doing this. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Please make it full screen.
All right, there you go. Is it?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I'll first start with our vision and mission. Our vision is to basically work on quality, innovation, and teamwork, because we come together as a team. We believe in 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 as a synergy, and Lords will always working with partners which provide synergy. And our mission is to contribute knowledge, both fundamental and applied areas of engineering. As I said, we are also having a business incubator center here. So we are having a business mindset. At the same time, we are technically adept in terms of achieving our mission. And we have scholarly people, more than 30 PhDs are there across various streams. So it's one of the unique ability that drives synergy between engineering and the current day industrial revolution 4.0. And we are ready to go into the industrial revolution 5.0, that is the cyberspace. Herewith, what we basically do is that we first of all understand what exactly we need to do in order to have an outcome-based education. So we start with the scholarly principles of Father Spaddy, and we look at the aims and scope of OBE, and we inculcate them in various departments across the streams. And what exactly is that? This is the screenshot that I captured from LinkedIn. What is outcome-based education in a nutshell? Because a lot of people have so many ideas and thought processes going around. It's difficult to come into a nutshell. So we believe that a method of curriculum design and teaching, very important, I like to highlight, a method of curriculum design and teaching based on goals and focuses to what students are able to accomplish after they are taught. This is the most important. After they are taught, where people are just looking at results. So in order to do this outcome-based education, we went ahead and we looked at what's exactly Bloom's taxonomy talking about. And it's also talking about, at the end, lower order is remembrance. Training and teaching is different. And when we are imparting a lecture, people just don't remember. And students nowadays are self-learners. So we believe in creating value, adding value, and giving the value proposition. So we do not talk about who, what, and how. First, we address the why. So it's the inverse triangle. So we are addressing the why. We understand the needs. Then we talk about the wants. When we understand the needs, we are keeping in mind what is it that's the most important, urgent, and important grid as per the 7 habits of Stephen Covey. We inculcated Stephen Covey 7 habits into the teachers as well as the student mindset. Moving forward, what we do is that we attached it with the UN SDG goals. Dr. Suparna, I was very particular about this, and Professor Hamidul Hawk from UNESCO. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. And what we do is that we address every SDG goal in a way that the student understands that you have to achieve this goal apart from learning, and you have to be having an outcome-based education mindset. In order to do that, we have designed a process where teachers, students, institutional leaders, and faculty development activities happen around SDGs. And OBE is the actual outcome, and in order to do that, results matter. We are not just talking theory here or giving a beautiful, colorful PowerPoint slide. We are talking about what Dr. Wajid has said. We had a very good discussion with him, Father Spaddy and the CEO, and we had a lot of discussions up and down, and we have inculcated them around the past 1 year and so. So if you see this, what we saw is that we looked at what is Spaddyism, first of all. If it is a 60-year-old culture that has been integrated from the baby boomers to the generation alpha, the millennials, and probably the next generations from industrial revolution 2.0 to 5.0, we looked at what was traditional, what is transitional, and what is transformational. We caught up with only one point. The one point that we caught up was IT has become today ICT. The server has become the cloud, but between I and T, there's a C that is called communication. So today's leaders need communication as the most important, and outcome-based education is communicating exactly what it. Academic standards paradigm is terminally traditional and at times ill and sick. Sorry to say those 2 words, because we go back to the traditional point. We are now looking at transitional, and then the future generations are going to be transformational. What AI is going to do, what ML and deep learning and what big data is going to do is going to be different. So how do we achieve that? In order to achieve that, it's very important for us to define those paradigms of shift. Change is the only constant. And in order to adapt change, we have to understand the paradigms of change. The paradigms of change are first accountability, competency, versatility. Then we are talking about innovation, living your passion, and basically sustainability and harmony. All these paradigms are given by Father Spady, and each paradigm is addressed by different ways. If you are looking at the first paradigm here, all right, this is the first paradigm. The first paradigm has been addressed in the form of a business model at our MBA department. Our MBA department has split ourselves. The faculty has split the learning process into 25% each. Academic inputs matter only 25% to us. Soft skills matter 25%. They go to the industry and they achieve something which is realistic, and that's 25%. After doing that, they go and do the projects in the corporates. They are placed on internships. So if you look at this, how are the leaders going to come out? The faculty has divided the class of 120 MBA students into 4 houses, that is Sapphire House, Ruby House, Emerald, and Topaz. All these leaders are continuously interacting with their team and trying to challenge in a very, very positive environment, which is driving an outcome, and they have achieved so much. What have they achieved are in the next slides. Once this is a system and process is set up, this is what our student have set up. She has secured a GPA of 94.4, and she is a climate action activist, that is SDG number 13. She has achieved a certificate of completion from United Nations, and she has attended the Stockholm Assembly as well of the youth. So this is one she has driven, and the other students, the second one, the third one, we are talking about going to the industries. Numaish is an industrial exhibition which is almost 100 years old in India and Hyderabad. All across India, people come here for Numaish. In Urdu, we say Numaish is equal to exhibition. So exhibition is where traditional buying and selling happens. So our students go there and understand what is the paradigm shift between online sales and traditional sales. So they have addressed this and come up with a project research, and the student has given a business plan to those people who are participated. So FDP and student outcomes at Lords not only is about engineering, it's also about understanding the business dynamics and also giving a business plan to traditional and indigenous sellers who are far away from digital transformation and the ICT. The IT to ICT is the digital transformation. The next one is that we participated. The fourth one, addressing the fourth paradigm by Father Spady and the OBE structure, is we are working on zero waste goals. We had a very unique World Environment Day where all our students made their projects from the waste bottles, from the waste paper, from the waste trash. They cleaned, and we believe on the campus in zero waste. If you come, it's a green, eco-friendly campus on 12 acres, and you will fall in love with how the students go around the campus, because we believe that it's not a concrete building that we should drive. The outcome should be they should be passionate to come and enjoy the environment here, and especially when it's rainy season here in India. Oh my God, I'm feeling like going out and give me some rain and give me some sunshine out there. We have achieved goal number 12 along with this outcome, and the fifth one is our team is led by Madam Rizwana Begum, our General Secretary, and she is a passionate leader, a woman of substance, my boss, and she is there in the business for 20 years, like Dr. Suparna Majumdar. She's also a woman of substance. I can see that you have already inculcated the SDGs, and Professor Hamidul Hawk would say not be behind to tell me what are the SDGs, because you, sir, are from UNESCO. So women are taking the lead in our campus. Why women? Because at Lords, we believe that gender equality is a must. If we don't give gender equality, then we are not doing justice. So if you look at it, our women entrepreneurs are Sara Alim, Hureen Khanam, Arma Mahirin, and Reha Thakur. Reha Thakur is currently working for Indigo Airlines. Arma is working for Goldman Sachs, Accenture, and she's hiring for like kind of Ivy League people to, the top-notch multinational for their blue collar jobs and also their white collar jobs. Sarah Alim and Hurreen Khanum, they are now on the way to their Canadian future. They are going to migrate to Canada after graduating from Lords. So what these girls have done, that they have taken our secretary madam, our boss, to moon along with them. On the Women's Day, they gifted our secretary madam a trip to the moon on Artemis. And it was a virtual campaign that was run by NASA. And we took part in that. And we were all together as a team of MBA. We were on board Artemis. Thank you, sir, for the clapping, Dr. Hamidul Hawk. I appreciate that. My madam and my girls will be proud of them because we are proud of them. And we always take inspiration from being a woman. They have taken us to the moon, and we being men, we were watching, men are from Mars and women are from moon. I don't know how far that was true, but it was implemented here. The next one, number 6, is that we conducted a carnival, and the first ever Premier League. When the IPL was happening in India, IPL is a very big cricket event here, something like NBA and the NFL over there in United States. We conducted Lord's Carnival. The intention of Lord's Carnival to have industry infrastructure to be known to the kids across the campus. Around 2,000 students participated in that. And the outcome was we had quiz across, we had cricket, and we had, lots of activities. It was a 7-day carnival, and, the campus was buzzing with so much students. And more importantly, the attendance, which was the biggest issue in every college, rose up by almost more than 200%. So that was a big number to achieve in this post-COVID era, when students are at home and they believe that online education is the future. It's not. It's not just brick and mortar. It's not digital. It's phygital. So we are using the words phygital when we are in cutting 6. Moving forward, what are we going to do in order to address the FDP on the basis of digital transformation? We are deriving a Lord's bot. A Lord's bot is an investment into the artificial intelligence AI chatbot, where faculty will give their notes in the written content, in videos, and in whatever audio mode they have. The student can log in, type their facts, and based on their facts, they will get their answer sheets or their notes. It is not a self-learn, it is a dedicated one. So this is a Lord's bot, which is work in progress. Hopefully by next year summit, we will be having our own Lord's bot. It's a unique in itself, and it is being developed by Technology and Business Incubator. We have a TBI here with Telangana Hub, T-Hub, which is having more than huge. It's the world's largest innovation center, and we are partners with T-Hub. And we are developing this for the sake of faculty to get everything in context and give it as simple as possible to the students, rather than students Googling and learning it on their YouTube, which is again having a lot of anomalies and a lot of issues, which we don't want to dig deep into. Let's just get the spaghetti feel and move forward. This is the model that we are inculcating and how we are doing. This is the faculty, the chatbot, and I mean, this is work in progress. I'm not a tech geek to tell you exactly how engineers are good at it. My computer science engineers are working on it. My PhD graduates are working on it. Dr. Dadamia is there. Dr. Prashant, who is already here, is working on there. And also our students from Technology and Business Incubation. We have very good students. The fact of the matter is that it's not just computer science engineers, civil, mechanical, instrumental are very instrumental in doing this project. So this is our Lord's bot. We hope that this will be referred as a game changer model to faculties as a development program in order to have a very good outcome. Thank you so much. I hope I am on the dot with time, Shahryar.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. That is an excellent approach, in fact, for developing our future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Noman, for your excellent presentation. We can take questions from our respected.
Do you have time to ask questions? It's not
yes.
really it's to learn a bit more, because brilliant work Lords is doing, and
Thank
definitely it will be very much contributing, enriching knowledge of other institutions. In terms of sustainability and harmony, you're from India. Uh, during the anti-British movement, your national hero, okay, he's the central hero, Mahatma Gandhi mentioned, if India is independent, India must not follow the industrialized societies, meaning not to go heavy industrialization if you want to be independent. And perhaps he gave this discourse of small is beautiful, sustainable village. If we call that traditional, then what is transition to transformation of sustainability and harmony?
It's a wonderful question.
That is my question. Yeah.
I am privileged to answer this on behalf of a father of a nation who laid down our freedom struggle and gave us this country, because 15th of August, we are celebrating the 75th Independence Day, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And Lords is organizing this as a role model. We are doing that, and we are having lots of activities. Hopefully, the next Independence Day will invite you, Dr. Hamidul Hawk, as a guest from UNESCO, and Suparna also, Madam Suparna. The question is very, very important in today's context, because India has been an agrarian economy for the past 75 years. If you look at it, let's say till the Industrial Revolution 3.0 came, India was always food and fodder. It was all about green economy. It was sustainable on itself. But our neighbor China was always into the manufacturing department, and it was always pushing its products towards the West. So if you look at it, transformation and transitional and traditional, these are the three things that the Father Spady gave. So what we have done in transition is that instead of doing it on ground and making it happen and releasing the carbon PMP 2.5 or 10.0, we have moved towards the cloud. Indians are the leaders of the cloud. We are working in transition to the cloud. We are all the CEOs based across the world on the top 10 companies. You name it, you will find an Indian out there. So we are transitioning in terms of technological excellence. The ICT happened because of Indians. It's not because of any other country. So communication technology today is the forebearer and the torchbearer. I take pride in being an Indian, because we as Indians, if we go and sit in America, we call it Google. If we go and sit in America, we call it Microsoft. Oh my God, then what are Indians? They are, end of the day, Indians by DNA. So we have changed the world. We have changed the outcome of the world in a holistic 360 degree angle. And Lords, we are practicing it at Christ University. We are practicing it at every nook and corner. You will be amazed to see, I saw a vegetable seller making a flag, okay, of carrot and white beetroot, and then he was having a okra, and he made it a flag. And that's the passion. He didn't have money to buy. So Indians are very passionate to achieve, because the humility and the traditional values. Our madam, Rizwana madam, his son is from the number one Bits Pilani, and he's also pass out from Indian business school here. So it is very, very important that we have grounded ability, but we look to the moon, as we see. And that's why we have this ability to transition the world, not just transform, but not just transition, but also transform the world. Yes, agree. On the industrial side, we are not good. That's good. We are not having to address those SDG goals where climate action needs to be taken. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes,
Professor Hamid.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I believe we are running out of time, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
Thank you for the nice discussion. Right
I
at this moment, I would like
the
to, yes, sir, please. Thank you very much. I would like to move to our next presenter, Professor Sule Magaji. I'm sorry. He's from University of Abuja, Nigeria. Professor Magaji served as head of economics department at the university. He was also the director of quality assurance and the immediate former director of academic planning of the university. His title today is Strategies to Strengthen Faculty Members in the Era of Universities Ranking.
Shreya, can we go ahead with Dr. Hamid?
Yeah, probably yes. Professor Magaji, in the meantime, you may try to
you can sort out the
reconnect
technical issue
and solve the technical issue. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate
right
that.
at this moment, I would like to move to our next presenter. He is Professor Hamidul Hawk, a postdoctoral researcher from UNESCO, and he's also a professor at UIU, Bangladesh. He is a social scientist from Bangladesh, and soon after his master's with honors in social welfare from the University of Dhaka, he got engaged in social work and research with NGOs in Bangladesh since 1979. So Professor Hawk's title today is Teaching Approach and the Transforming World. Professor Hamidul Hawk, it's over to you now, please.
So maybe I can take an opportunity to ask a few questions, maybe engage in a discussion.
Sure.
All right, we can have that until they come back. So, so this is for Sir. Mr. Norman, I just wanted to also look at how you are working with, say, faculty, capability building or capacity building initiatives, because I'm sure you're working with the NBA framework. So managing a whole lot of these activities, how do you ensure that your faculty members are all on board?
That's a very wonderful thing, because just last week I have been assigned another tag of capability building director, because I have been into corporate life. I have been country head of more than 30 brands, Samsung, Procter and Gamble, and I'm coming on the campus to Lords to inculcate the corporate lifestyle and corporate requirements. Because if you see, oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you ready, Shariat?
Yes, we can go on with Professor Hawk's presentation now.
Okay, Madam
Yeah,
Suparna,
later we can
this.
have this.
Session?
Yeah,
Yes.
after his
One-to-one.
presentation we can have.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Please. Yeah, sure, please.
okay, I'll be short because I am a learner of objective-based education. Being a person of social science student. Okay, with a little correction, you see how communications sometimes lead you some not really correct information. Okay, I was a postdoctoral researcher long back with UNESCO IAG. Perhaps it is put in my bio, and they picked up a portion UNESCO scholar. But I am with United International University, where my colleague Professor Shariar is also working. I am Dean of School of Humanities and Social Sciences. I lead two programs. One is Master in Development Studies, and another is undergraduate program, Environment and Development Studies. And I organize one annual international conference on sustainability. So, Majid Bhai, you will not be disappointing. I have been closely a learner of sustainability or sustainable development. And I'm also a focal person at UIU with SDSN, the UN Sustainable Development Solution Network. And time to time, I attend Jeffrey Sachs' talk, and I learned from him the number one barrier to sustainable development is lack of education in sustainable development. And the universities do have the responsibility of take care of that, reducing the gaps or strengthening the knowledge and skills in sustainable development of university faculty.
Professor Hawk, you got muted again. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Participatory, case study based, classroom based education may strengthen our capacity of knowledge in particular discipline or interdisciplinary education and research. Of course, specialization in disciplinary. I learned university is the center of education and training. So which one is dominant? Is it training or education? So if we look into the background of development interventions soon after the Second World War, to me, if we look into it critically, the higher education over the period becoming more training oriented than educational. And that is why we labeled even the most relevant, effective approaches to higher education as traditional. And to make it more relevant to the technical science friendly, then we call it transition or transformation. But the philosophy we cannot ignore. And philosophy leaves you what could be the forms of your development initiatives. And over the period, as much as the business becoming dominant in the society, we are more focused on certain specialization, like how to make profit. But how to support the hapless, how to support reducing inequality, how to support ensuring no one left behind, that education requires philosophical and in order to strengthen the philosophical aspects of teaching of the faculty members towards transformation. And what we expect in the goal of transformation, reducing all these gaps, not reducing poverty, but alleviation of poverty, and reducing inequality, addressing exploitation, addressing unhumanistic, behavior, addressing the notion of overconsumption. I learned from one of the vice chancellors of South Indian University. He said, Hamidul, this is not overconsumption. It is irresponsible consumption. Because this consumption is grounded in unethical behavioral pattern. So if we really try to follow the policies and principles of sustainable development and to attain the sustainable development goals, universities have no alternative of creating new leaders, strengthening the capacity of our university faculty, both in teaching and research. Only then the participation of our students in university level will be ensured, as our speaker Noman Abdul Majid mentioned, that how they are facilitating case study based, field based, action oriented. I would rather call it action oriented teaching, which is rooted in multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research. So globally, if we
sorry to interfere, Professor Hawk. Are you going to present your?
No.
No.
I'll
okay.
be talking. Yeah. Okay. I don't have what do you call it, PowerPoint presentation. I did have, but I thought I better take the opportunity of talking maybe.
Sure. All right.
Specifically, is learning from the previous two speakers. And globally, the policy slogans are influencing us. For example, we live in one world. We really live in one world. We believe in uh, uh, equity of other corners of the society. And we are also guided by some uh, academic policy slogan. For example, objective-based education. Is it always relevant or appropriate to all disciplines, or it is more relevant to certain disciplines? So when we talk about multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity or transdisciplinarity, I think we also need to bring some sort of uh, uh, paradigm shifts, not to be more confined with certain framework for all the disciplines. There can be some sort of broadness or flexibility in terms of accommodating the disciplinary philosophy and disciplinary strengths and weaknesses into account in order to strengthen the interdisciplinary. And interdisciplinarity is the most relevant and essential means of attaining sustainability. So in strengthening our faculties, capacity of our faculty, I think these areas are very much important to take into account while we offer training for our teachers. And this training is not always very much very much scheduled training, but it's a continuous process from uh, uh, to learn from the students as well as to learn from other specializations, so that we come closer, breaking the boundaries of disciplinary, meaning disciplinary boundaries are also barrier to strengthen the capacity of multidisciplinary education and interdisciplinary. I think learning from each other and working together may bring us or may lead us to come closer and narrow down the gaps. So far, we have been uh, 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 going through in terms of uh, taking the challenges of contributing more better. So it's not always OBE is the means of uh, better education. We may go beyond. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Hawk, for your nice speech. At this moment, we'd like to take questions. If you have any question, you can. We still have some time. Yeah.
May I?
Yes, yeah, sure, please.
All right. So, Professor Hawk, you spoke about a lot of the programs, the initiatives that the university has taken up to, in a way, ensure that the students learn to work with the community. Would you like to share maybe one particular instance? At our university, for instance, we have started, we work with the Center for Social Action, and our students work with both rural and urban. So I was wondering if you're doing something similar.
So what is our regular activity in the students? Say, teach one course of computer science engineering and triple society, environment, and engineering ethics. So in the middle of the course, we come to know from the students, they are very much, thirsty. And they want to know why these gaps are there. Are we very typically becoming specialized technicality? For whom? If it's for the society, we understand better the societies. Then we take them to isolated villages. Isolated meaning who are a bit cut off from the communication, right? In the middle of a river, big river, we call River Jaw, River Island. And they stay there the whole day, talking to the women, to the children, to the farmers. And by lunchtime, they come to know how different they, they are living in a community with this community. But they are the majority of the population. But are we in the line of in our higher education to address their needs? And when they come back, they make their presentation, and it leads them to learn more and more from other course teachers how technology and society can go together. Because technical skills we traditionally identify as specialization. But when we can call it specialization, if it can address the complexities of the society, then it is specialized. This is one. Second is we also bring our students of environment and development studies for a week to a field where we also conduct research with our university funding support to facilitate the sustainable village development. And they go there, they learn from the villagers, and they can try to link it with their theoretical education in the classroom. So we'll be going through this process throughout the whole 4 years program. And each batch will take up one village for the whole 4 years time to facilitate the sustainable development process. So these are our sort of approaches that we are trying to follow. So the students and the faculty both are having opportunities of learning about sustainability.
Thank you so much, Professor Hawk. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Noman, probably you have some questions.
Small question to Dr. Hawk is that if we want to associate ourselves on behalf of Lords with UNESCO, what is, whether it is Dr. Suparna or ourselves, because we as institutional leaders should always have this, high-end alignment with the goals in order to have, every drop of ocean counts. So how is it possible to have ourselves, associated with
Again,
UNESCO?
I take make a correction. I was a postdoctoral research fellow with UNESCO IAG. IAG is Institute for Water Education in the Delft, in the Netherlands, long back. So my identity on this cloud may be brought from their past identity, from my CV, maybe from the cloud. But
Okay.
but I can mention here. I will send you the link. You may directly contact UNESCO IAG in the Netherlands, and they will love to keep in touch with you, because they have they offer programs, especially water-centric programs, but nowadays they are becoming more comprehensive.
Wonderful.
So I'll send you the link of UNESCO IAG.
Wonderful. And we hope to get connected on the LinkedIn, all of us together in this room. The world is a global place.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
And I would invite you to our next international conference, both of you, Numan and Suparna, and also Suri. Every February, we organize this international conference on sustainable development. So
Okay.
I will send you the invitation.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Professor Magaji is with us. Professor Magaji, are you? Hello? Yeah. Yes. So, Professor Magaji, Your
I mean,
topic, it is not very much clear to me. How about the other panelists?
So we can
you
hear clearly.
Yes.
you can hear
I'm-
everything.
Okay, you keep on. You keep on, please.
Would turning off the video help?
Professor Magajik, you may turn off your video and then try to speak.
Okay. Is it okay now? Hello?
It is better.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. My
Yeah,
topic
it's
is on practice to strengthen faculty members in the era of university ranking. Well, unlike the previous presentation by other scholars, this very topic focused on a kind of irregularities. Most of the higher education institutions are just concentrating on the graduation rate, the volume of graduates, a high number of faculty members, but that is not the goal of United Nations. United Nations is focusing on specific sustainable development goals, and also the ranking bodies have their own indicators. So we have a problem. Most of the universities are confused whether to follow the indices of ranking institutions or to actually focus on community needs to produce qualified employable graduates or to pursue the United Nations Sustainable Development. So based on this, we feel that there is a problem, and therefore the goal of higher education we feel should be that of creating employable workers, employable graduates to address the needs of the communities. So based on this, our introduction focused on the background, and therefore our major primary question is how to advance a strategy for faculty members, which when followed can satisfy not only the criteria for university ranking, but also satisfy the basic needs of the community and sustainable development goals. The rest of the paper focused on the literature review, and we see what is going on in theory, how many people feel that the goal of higher education should be that of producing employable workers and aligning to the new teaching method, blended learning, e-learning, use of intensive technology, and outcome-based knowledge. So the curriculum should be tailored towards a kind of outcome-based knowledge. Based on the choice, a number of institutions are picked up to see how things are working practically. For example, in Egypt, we have Ahmed who make assessment, and I found that most of the key issues of concern by the United Nations is not actually addressed. However, there are many other issues such as citation, international students, subdivision, abundance research, high level of research activities, educational quality, administrative structure, international resources, and innovative curriculum. So here we are interested in innovative curriculum by honors finding, and others are cooperation with foreign institutes in industry and the community need whatever we are producing as graduates, we should satisfy the industry and the community need. The other popular ranking bodies, unfortunately, especially RO, making use of system focus mainly on the research outcome. They are focused on quality of education, research, performance, and the performance of institution. Out of this dimensions, we cannot protect where the sustainable goal goals United Nations Sustainable Development Goals address. The terms higher education also have the same issue, focusing on teaching research, citation, international outcome, and the industry income. So here too is a problem with the previous assessment of the ARMA, and then QS also get the same issue. Most of these assessment bodies or ranking bodies are conventional in nature, focusing on
Your audio is distorted.
the audio is high. Hello? Hello?
Professor Magaji.
Yes, the audio is clear. Jonan, bring this one. So, okay. Okay. Yes, no problem. Like connection, the situation, I think.
Well, thank you, Shariar.
I'm afraid we're getting distorted audio from Professor Magaji, and we are unable to hear clearly. So
no worries.
right at this moment, we'd like to end our session. We actually had 5 speakers in our session, but unfortunately, one of the speakers could not join us. But even then, we had a wonderful session. Thank you so much, all the presenters, for making your time and having a nice discussion session. It was really wonderful, and we'll be connected, and hope to see you in the next session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate. And
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Suparna, we will get connected on LinkedIn and we'll discuss. Thank you.
I look forward
Bye-bye.
to that. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shariar. Thank you, Wajid, Dr. Wajid, and thank you, team OBE, Info OBE. Thank you. Bye-bye on behalf of Lords.
Thank you. Bye-bye.